Hey everybody, let's talk about the one job interview question that will make you stand out. Now here is an article that is called that very thing, one job interview question that will make you stand out, according to a top Amazon recruiter. Okay, and this appeared recently. It's by Morgan Smith. Now the question that they recommend that you ask a recruiter is, what does leadership really think about the team you're on and its performance? Okay, that's one form of it. Or you could say, what does leadership think about this team and the results they're delivering? And what are some things leadership would look to change or improve within this team? Okay, so this is what they're suggesting that you say. Now, this isn't a bad question. This is actually a pretty good question. However, this article, in my opinion, is written by recruiters, and it's from the perspective of a perfect world. If we lived in a perfect world, this would be a tremendously cutting question that would really force the recruiter to answer a hard question about where this role fits into the organization. It asks about the company culture. It asks about improvements that could be made. So it serves multiple things, and if there's any issues or anything that is not all perfect in paradise, it allows the recruiter to indicate that to the candidate. Now, that's in a perfect world, okay? And if the recruiter is very transparent and very informed and willing to discuss those types of things, then this would be a good question, and I would tend to agree with it wholeheartedly. However, in my experience, we do not live in that world, and the reality of most job interviews, most people who don't work at Amazon or any of these companies that have a reputation for being forward-thinking and really, really good, although that may not be the case, I suspect. The reality is that most recruiters will not respond to this question in the way that most people would think they would. The reality is that recruiters will not want to disclose anything negative about the company. So even if this question is really cutting to the quick of some major issue that the organization has, perhaps this job is not very desirable, perhaps this department is not performing very well, or it's not considered to be a high priority by the management of the organization, a recruiter will not disclose that, okay? And the reasons for that is simple marketing. You're not going to advertise that a job is less than desirable. You're not going to deliver negative points when you're representing your organization. So you're not going to get an honest answer out of people when you ask this in most situations, okay? The other reason is that if you are dealing with a recruiter who is not an employee of the organization, but is a third-party contractor, which is becoming increasingly common these days, the recruiter will not know the answer to this question, okay? They are not an employee of the company. They don't know the job with any detail. And that applies even to most recruiters who are employees of the company. They really don't have much knowledge about the job that they are recruiting for. If you don't believe me on this, go look at the example of pretty much every staffing company that exists. You get people recruiting for accounting positions and engineering positions. They have absolutely no idea about accounting or engineering, and they have never seen the role that they're recruiting for. So they may not know this information. Okay, so not only do they not want to disclose it, if they knew it, they may not know it. Now, if you are talking to a hiring manager instead of a recruiter, a hiring manager being the person that if you got the job, this person would be your boss, okay? They may know these things, okay? But once again, they would not want to disclose it, okay? So that's the issue. Now, this question in particular, what are some things leadership would look to change or improve within the team, okay? Now, like I mentioned earlier, when you're asking about some negative aspect of the role, okay, the first problem, of course, is that they will not want to disclose this. The second problem, however, is this may actually harm you. This may, it may spoil your untarnished image, because now you're asking them about their weaknesses. imagine if you encountered somebody, and let's pretend you were a salesperson and you were trying to sell somebody on a product. You were selling encyclopedias. Okay, let's pretend you were selling someone an encyclopedia, and they asked you a question about some negative aspect of the encyclopedia. Okay, if they said to you, well, I've heard that these things get dated really quickly. Is that not true? I mean, what if you could fix that? Would you perhaps buy some other product than this encyclopedia? Now, if you were the salesperson and you were asked this type of question, they seem the fact that they're asking this question tends to suggest that they're not coming with you on the sales pitch. Okay, they don't see this perfect product that you make it out to be. And instead, they're asking you some pretty pointed questions that suggest that they disagree with you on some points. Okay, they're not buying the party line. And that can also be a problem when you ask this type of question. Okay, you risk annoying the person who's representing the organization by asking them about some negative aspect of it. Okay. Let me illustrate with one final example. Let's pretend that you were interviewing for a position at a major multinational corporation. And recently that corporation had been in the news because of some unsavory scandal. Okay. And if you were up for the job, and probably what happened was they didn't mention the current ongoing scandal that the company was embroiled in, but you took it upon yourself to ask them about it. Okay, you said, well, I'm sure there's some things that are not all rosy in paradise. What would you change about this company? I mean, especially considering this recent scandal. What changes need to be made here? Okay, now the way this article and others like it are positioning this is that shows that you're a shrewd, informed person who's asking a pointed question that suggests that you're serious, suggests that you're informed. But the problem is you could risk annoying the other party by asking them that question, because now they're forced onto a defensive mode, and this can be a problem. So for that reason, okay, to sum this up, I would say that this is one of perhaps the better questions you could ask. It demonstrates some good things. However, I would not ask about the change, okay? I would not ask about anything negative, okay? The first part saying, what does leadership think about this team and the results they're delivering? That's benign enough, okay? But I would take their answer with a grain of salt, because I think the reality of the world we live in is that people are not going to give you an honest answer if the honest answer is negative. Okay, if the answer is that this job is not very desirable, it's very tough, and the organization really doesn't consider it that important, they're not going to say that to you anyway. So just exercise some critical thinking before you ask these kind of pointed questions, because the world does not work like they do, like they would have you believe in HR-related internet articles. We live in the real world, and don't expect full transparency in this or in the job interview process any more than you would in a salesman coming to sell you encyclopedias. Thank you very much for your attention. You guys are awesome for listening this long. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.